I want to take a closer look at this issue of the traditional institutions and the role that they could potentially play in conflict resolution, notwithstanding, of course, the central role played by the nation's security agencies. When you look at how traditional stools are established, I'm talking, of course, of the individuals that are enthroned, and the political influence on those processes. In a situation emerging in which you have some traditional institutions and some traditional kind of office holders, if you will, in some parts of the country that don't necessarily have influence over their domains, family by family, community member by community member, but maybe are affiliated with a powerful political office holder at the top. Do you think we should take a look at how our traditional institutions are being, our traditional actors are being enthroned when we talk about this process of influence and ensuring that that influence is maintained in some of these crises?
Yes, that is my constituency. Yes, also a chief in my domain. I've been a title holder for like 18 years now. And consistently, I've played a role in the peace process of my community. I take you to the issue between farmers and herdsmen. In my community, we adopted a very unique approach, different from what others are doing. Our approach was the approach of tolerance and native laws, to guide our society. Justice and fairness and equity, it means that the same scale that is used for you has to be applied to others. We have a very transparent process in my community in the sense that when crises, erupt between farmers and herdsmen, we have a traditional institution that does not take side with any of the parties. We have a traditional institution in my community that prohibits theft and stealing. So whether you are our own or from outside, we do not allow any member of our community to unlawfully take what does not belong to the person. And if you see the crisis, one of the nexus of the crisis between the farmers and the herdsmen generally is a question of, cattle rustling. Sometimes the cattle rearers come to us as traditional leaders to complain to us that, some of these boys have taken their cattle and all of that. And they expect us within a reasonable period of time to respond to that. And because we know these boys, we know members of our community very well, we engage traditional approach. Sometimes we invoke the spirit of the ancestors, we engage our gods, to find, whoever has done this. And when this is done, we move to the next stage as to appropriate compensation. And you see, a time came in history where, even our people on their own felt that getting compensation from these cattle rearers, was far more lucrative. And we had, to bridge that gap by ensuring that compensation that will also be paid will be commensurate with whatever damages that these people have done. So back to your question, I think the traditional institution and even the religious institution, everyone has got a role to play. No, this role, must be anchored on fairness and justice.
I think we can all agree on that. At this juncture, we're just going to take a short break. We'll come back with our closing thoughts in just a moment. Our viewers, please do stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. As we close the show, I want to get both of your thoughts on a potential solution in regard to what we've been discussing. In your view, Mr. Onyekwolu, let me start with you. When you look at the robust approach of some of the agencies in terms of what they're trying to do and what they're failing to do as well, what do you think can be done in terms of more effectively marrying the impact of potential impact of the traditional institutions on peace building in the communities and what the security agencies are doing? Do you think that there could be more of an interface, for example? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I believe that traditional institutions have a role to play in communities' peace and safety. I'm a prince in my community, all right? And obviously, I grew up in Kano State at a very young age. I played for Kano Pillars basketball.
Sorry, just in practical terms.
Hold on.
Yes.
Now, for Kaduna State, I played for Kada Stars of Kaduna basketball. Now, when you come to Kaduna State, Kano State in the north, because what applies in the north does not apply in the southeast. traditional thrones in the north, most of them have got strong alignments to religion. So when you bring them into play, are they going to play for the whole people, or are they going to play to the advantage of their faith? So I think we should be careful about giving them these powers. We should use the civil powers of the society, the police, the DSS, the army. And more so, to bring future peace in the communities. Just give me 10 seconds. We have to make sure that when people are killed in Nigeria, people are punished and prosecuted, not meant to keep quiet when people are dying.
Very well. Mr. Agbese?
For me, two things quickly. Continuous assessment on the part of the people, like what we are doing here, to review, what interventions are in place and how best, to improve on them. And on the security agency, I think constant peer review mechanism. There is nothing wrong in the police going to the chief of army, to the army, to say, with the way you have handled the insurgency in the Northeast so beautifully, with all the commendations that are pouring in, how are you doing it? How are you getting results? We partners in progress, tell us. And I think same for the Air Force or the DSS. There's nothing wrong in any of them going to the Chief of Army Staff to say, with what you have done, to bring things to where we are today from the past, what can you help us? What can we do? And I think constantly, reviewing situations like that. And of course, when necessary, commending those who have actually done, their duty well, demonstrated competence at that highest level. I think it's going to be a win-win situation, and we'll continue to progress to the next stage.
Ultimately, I'm sure all of us would agree that the breakdown of institutional rivalry in the country is key, particularly on the security front. But of course, that requires good leadership all across the value chain. I just want to thank both of you for coming on and sharing some really deep insights this morning. Thank you very much.